Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the City of Bettendorf City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. It's 7 o'clock p.m. Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Adamson.
Here.
Jager.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Sexer.
Here.
Baden.
Here.
Pazinski.
Here. Thank you all for joining us. Now, if you could all please rise, remove any caps or headdresses you may have, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be followed by an invocation given by Bettendorf Fire and Police Chaplain and Reverend of Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church, Father Jason Crossan. Please remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father Jason, thank you.
Good and gracious God, we ask that you bless our deliberations this evening, bless our council and our city, and especially those who work to protect her and to keep her safe and to continue the good work of all that we do. Be with us this evening, continue to keep our families and city safe under your protection and care, and we ask all this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father Jason. We have 3 proclamations to deliver today. I'll do so from the center of the room. Come on up, you guys know you're first. We do have a proclamation for Community Planning Month, the month of October 2025. This was requested by the American Planning Association Iowa chapter and will be received today by Lisa Furman, Alyssa Magzambol, Greg Beck, Taylor Beswick, Mark Hunt, and Ann Kapler, who serves on our Planning and Zone Commission. The rest are employees of the city. Mark, thank you. Nice to see you all. Thanks for all the good work you do. Good to see you. Greg, thank you. All right, I do have this proclamation, and then they each have something they'd like to share with you, starting with Ann.
Okay.
I spoke to Ann coming in. And it was,
I'm very spontaneous.
you'll be fine, but you don't have to speak. Mark's got you. All right, I do have a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor. Whereas change is constant and affects all communities, and whereas community planning helps manage change and offers better choices for how people work and live, and whereas planning provides meaningful public involvement in shaping the community's future and relies upon informed, supportive public officials and citizens. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month in the United States, and the American Planning Association promotes this month to highlight planning's role in creating equitable, resilient, and lasting recovery. And whereas this celebration honors the dedication of citizen planners and planning commission members in the city of Bettendorf, Iowa, and we acknowledge the city's professional planners and their continued commitment to public service. Now, therefore, I, Robert Gallagher, the mayor of the city of Bettendorf, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2025 as Community Planning Month in the Bettendorf community, and I encourage all residents to engage with and support community planning efforts, recognizing their vital role in shaping a thriving, inclusive, and resilient future.
Here, here.
Thank you, Mark. Please, go to the floor.
If I can say a couple words. Just amazing places don't happen by accident, and Bettendorf is an amazing place. It takes a team, and there's a team of operators, there's a team of police officers, firefighters, people picking up your garbage, patching your streets. There's a whole other team working behind them to help ensure orderly growth and development, and they've done a really good job. Them, not me. Just over the last year, the Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Adjustment have presided over 75 development review cases, free of charge. They volunteer their time in the city to review these cases, make sure they're going to be done appropriately. Our planners, Greg and Taylor, Alyssa just starting, and I kind of count Lisa as a planner a little bit. She does a lot of work for us. They've reviewed 653 cases for development. They updated the comp plan. They annexed 80 acres into the city of Bettendorf, helped us through that process. Taylor mostly. That's the first time in 50 years we've annexed. We wrote a billboard ordinance and fixed the problems we were having with billboards and took down the ugliest billboard in the whole world ever. Got that thing gone. partnered with Bettendorf Middle School, got some houses out of the floodplain, just a bunch of great stuff that just seems to happen, but it happens because there's people behind the background doing all this work, kind of greasing the skids. So when you drive down, downtown Bettendorf or uptown Bettendorf, and you see that beautiful building, there was a lot of work that happened before. It happened kind of in the background, they prefer to be in the background, they did such a good job. So I commend them and appreciate you, Mayor, and Council, for taking the time to let us be up here today.
Take over here, we're gonna do a picture.
Let's do two rows here in front of the background. There you go. Ms. Lynch, come across the front, 29. Or you guys switch sides. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Great work.
I can.
All right, we also have a second proclamation. This is for Alzheimer's Awareness Month, which is November 2025. This was requested by the Alzheimer's Foundation of America. It'll be received by our own City Administrator, Decker Plain, who had an experience with this. We're all worried about it. No, it was not him. All right. Whereas the month of November is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and whereas as we mark Alzheimer's Awareness Month, we honor those who care and provide for the victims of this devastating disease. And whereas it is critical that we keep up the fight against Alzheimer's until a cure is found and continue to care for all those affected by this condition. Now therefore, I, Robert Gallagher, the Mayor of the City of Bettendorf, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2025 as Alzheimer's Awareness Month in the Bettendorf community. And I call upon all citizens to learn more about Alzheimer's and to offer their support to the individuals living with the disease and to their caregivers. For resources and information on living with or caring for someone with Alzheimer's disease, please visit www.alzfdn.org. And as a remembrance of all those who are living with and lost the fight to Alzheimer's, the cities of Bettendorf and Moline together will light the Mississippi River Bridge the color teal on November 3rd, 2025.
Here.
Here. What would you like to tell us?
Well, as a lot of you know, I MC an auction for the Alzheimer's Association the last 5 years. Their gala to raise dollars for Alzheimer's. My mother was a victim of Alzheimer's, died just about 3 years ago, but had it for a good 5 years prior to that. And as one of the primary caregivers to her during that period of time, it's a terrible thing to watch, but hopefully we'll find a cure at some point in time. And we're grateful on behalf of the association for the council and the mayor acknowledging this. So thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Deb. Our last proclamation from the Office of the Mayor is for Extra Mile Day, November 1st, 2025. This was requested by Extra Mile America, and we don't have anybody to actually receive it tonight, and we have in the past some wonderful young people who do great things in our community. So, with that, a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor. Whereas Bettendorf values the spirit of going the extra mile throughout personal effort, volunteerism, and service, encouraging citizens to give wholeheartedly to their goals, families, and community. Whereas Bettendorf celebrates those who make a difference by going above and beyond for others. And whereas the city supports the Extra Mile America's mission and proudly recognizes November 1st as Extra Mile Day. Now therefore, I, Robert Gallagher, the Mayor of the City of Bettendorf, Iowa, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2025 to be Extra Mile Day in Bettendorf, and encourage all of our residents to embrace the spirit of going the extra mile through acts of kindness, service, and commitment, and to recognize those whose dedication uplifts others and strengthens our community.
Here.
All right, welcome to public requests of council. If anybody here wants to be heard on an item not already on tonight's agenda for a public hearing, you may be heard by approaching the podium in the back. Please state your name and your address. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes. Please try not to be repetitive and refrain, from outbursts like clapping or yelling. Please be respectful with your comments. Is there anybody here for public requests of council?
I'm Elena Bell. I'm 1515 State Street.
Hi, Elena.
Hi. So I just wanted to read this because I am relatively upset about this. I'm writing to formally, I wrote this down, formally address the ongoing noise violation emanating from the city property across the parking lot from my apartment. As a newly relocated resident, I'm disappointed by the seeming disregard the city has shown for its ordinances and more disturbingly, my well-being. Let me be clear, the city is violating its own residential noise ordinance of 60 decibels from 7 p.m. to 10 a.m. consistently, repeatedly, and without consequences. The source of the noise, reportedly an AC unit, is active late at night. The unit typically goes off between 9:30 p.m. and 3:30 a.m., well in quiet hours when enforcement should be strictest. The unit will then run continually for upwards of 8 hours. It's now late October. There's no justifiable reason to be running an air conditioning unit overnight. So I can only assume the unit is not an AC unit, but an environmentally controlled unit. Even if this building is technically commercial, it's still exceeding the 65 decibel range. I have a number of recordings of the sound exceeding that level from the center of my apartment, not from the street or the patio. Twice the police came and twice they confirmed this. Twice they told me their hands were tied because they cannot ticket the city. I began raising concerns at the end of August with my first written complaint on September 5th, followed by another on September 8th, with no response or meaningful action. I have made numerous middle-of-the-night phone calls to the police who confirm the noise exceeds the allowable limit, yet continue to inform me their hands are tied. The city maintenance manager talked to me a number of times. I gave him numerous possible solutions. Nothing has been done. After I sent a letter to the city manager on October 5th, I stated that I was willing to relocate, but would require support. I just moved here 4 months ago. I'm a 59-year-old single woman, and I don't have the financial means necessarily to find that. So I was hoping that I could come to an equitable agreement with the city. I'll move out of the apartment, but y'all have to help me because you're not fixing the problem. I was told that the city is not in that business, but they're violating their ordinance. Again, nothing's been done. I only have 2 minutes, so there was another situation at 3:40 one morning to the sound of multiple rounds of gunshots. Being from Chicago, that terrified me. When I called to report the event, the 911 operator was shocked that the police fire range has been there for 25 years and no one has ever complained before. This is when third shift practices, but it was 3:40 in the morning. It was a Saturday night, so that was Sunday morning. There's an impact on me. My health is suffering. Sleep is essential to a person's physical and mental well-being, and due to the recent medical diagnosis, I'm extremely vulnerable to the effects of chronic sleep disruption. This noise has destroyed my circadian rhythm, affected my ability to work and function at 100%, and left me exhausted and increasingly distressed. I just started a new job on July 1st, yet I do not make excuses for things, so I'm sure my job just sees me as a sluggish old person. I've been told by my boss numerous times not to be rude, but you look really tired. Yes, I am really tired. I've not gotten any good sleep for 2 months, and I'm starting to get short and lacking energy. This is unacceptable, and the fact is that it's preventable. So I do request immediate cessation of the nighttime noise. I know that can't happen because according to them, they can't even figure out where it's coming from. I was told that it's not my responsibility. The city manager said, I think on October 8th when he responded, that they're looking into it. But that's, 3 weeks now since that was the case, and they still don't have a solution. I would like some support and compensation. As I said, I'm willing to negotiate. I don't have any roots here. I've only been here 3 months. I'm willing to move. I think that's being reasonable, but I need your help. And as some of you, if you're legally knowledgeable, you know that The loss of quiet enjoyment of my home is a legally recognized concept in housing law. We have decibel levels from the middle of my living room at over 65, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it goes up into 80. It's happening right now. I just took another reading and it was somewhere between 65 and 80 decibels. And that's in my living room. So I moved here in good faith, but I don't think I'm being treated with respect or fairness. And it's not just about noise. It's about the city that's failing to protect its citizen, me, enforce its own ordinances, which is, I believe it's 50 decibels after 7 p.m. And take responsibility when it's in the wrong. I would like a prompt and professional response and, more importantly, immediate action.
Ms. Bell, are you in the Bridges lofts? Okay. Mr. Plain, I know you've had some correspondence, I think, with Ms. Bell. What is the status of the investigation into the allegations of this noise?
Thank you, Your Honor. We have looked at our air handling units. We have looked at our generator. We don't find anything unnormal there. As you know, the air handling unit sits above the fire station where the 4 firefighters every day sleep themselves. We're not sure the source. We don't know that we just don't know where the source is. And we continue to try to figure that out. I offered Ms. Bell today that I would come to her house at 3:40 in the morning if she called me, so that we could at least try to see it. I know the officers have been there. I understand her frustration. I'm not sure that what the source is or what the possible solution is. I'm still willing to work with Ms. Bell. I'm not sure that we're going to find a solution that's totally agreeable, but we're trying to find out if it really is us. There are a lot of noise sources down here. We have 7 trains at night. We have air handling units on the building that she resides in. So we're not quite sure what's happening here.
Okay.
Mayor, can I just address that?
No, thank you. You had your opportunity to speak. We'll make sure that you are contacted by Mr. Plain, and we continue with the help of the police officers who have these units to be able to, the tracking device and the, I don't know what the decibel level reader maybe,
Yes.
I don't know. So we will certainly continue to work to find a source, so thank you very much for that, and we will be in touch. Thank you for being here to share your concern. Anyone else wish to be heard on an item not already on tonight's agenda for a public hearing? You may do so by approaching the podium at the back.
He has some visuals, but you guys have
We
them
have those in
here.
front of us so that you know.
You got
Yes.
them printed too?
Yeah, we've got them right here.
Maybe you'll show them to this crew too. Just everyone. Okay. Good evening, members of Bettendorf City Council. Sorry, first time I've ever done this. My name is Jackie Miller, and I live at 5051 Heatherstone Road with my husband, John, and 3 children, Luke, 11, Mark, 9, Annie, 7, and 2, 3 awesome friends, Maxine, Lucy, and Egan. Okay. What if tomorrow's headline read, City of Bettendorf reduces speed bumps on Heatherstone Road, 9-year-old child struck by car? That could have been the headline this week after my son was nearly hit by a car on Sunday afternoon after the speed bumps had been reduced. I was walking our dog while our son was playing football. Trust me, I probably wouldn't be here if that hadn't happened. I was walking our dog while my son was playing football across the street. He saw us and began to cross the street. We were on a section of Heatherstone without sidewalks. He didn't see the oncoming vehicle. I screamed for him to stop, and thankfully he froze just in time because the vehicle kept speeding past us without slowing down. I did yell, slow down, and I confronted the driver. He was unapologetic and insisted he was speeding. He was not speeding. This occurred after the speed bumps were reduced. That moment was terrifying and entirely preventable had they not been reduced. I'm here tonight to ask the City of Bettendorf to increase the size of the speed bumps on Heatherstone Road so they actually do what they were intended to do, slow traffic and protect more than 25 children in that neighborhood. When the speed tables were first installed, families in our neighborhood were grateful, but since they've been reduced in size, they've become ineffective. Worth will be sharing later about the dimensions of those. Cars barely slow down. I've watched vehicles fly down the street over the humps as if they weren't even there at all, and in fact, go faster because of the way they are. They are almost like a hill, and you just go back down them. Here are some key reasons why strong traffic calming measures are urgently needed, and you've done that, and I appreciate it so much. Obviously, they need to be redone. Children's safety, there are at least 25 children under the age of 12 living on Heatherstone. Look, you can show pictures of all of our fun things we do. Many are playing outside, bike ride, rollerblading. There's just so many community events that we do in our neighborhood. It's one of a kind. We love it so much. So many children just playing. It's amazing. Outdoor play and independence are vital to their development. They're very knowledgeable of street safety, but kids also make mistakes. Parents shouldn't have to fear their children's safety just because cars are speeding through a residential neighborhood. There are no sidewalks on half of Heatherstone. Our children share the street with the cars when riding bikes, rollerblading, or selling lemonade. It's not a safe mix when drivers treat this as a main road. Number 3, cut through traffic. Heatherstone has become a thoroughfare between 53rd Street and Crow Creek Road. I honestly don't know how they save time, but apparently they do. Drivers use it to avoid Middle Road, but this is a residential neighborhood, not an arterial route. You can see it on the map there. There's a highlight, a part of the Heatherstone in that map, what they're going through. Families bought homes here expecting neighborhood level safety, not commuter traffic. Number 4, bus stop safety. Between 7:45 and 8 a.m., also 3 o'clock and 3:30, about 18 children gather at the bus stop. I just took a picture yesterday and that should be in the visuals. Meanwhile, drivers are rushing to work and school. The risk is obvious. Number 5, speed limit violations. Despite the posted 25-mile-per-hour limit, drivers regularly exceed it. In fact, one neighbor down the road thought it was 35 miles per hour. My husband and I watch from our porch as cars accelerate around the corner and speed past our home. Number 6, distracted and quiet vehicles. Drivers on cell phones and quiet electric vehicles pose an added risk. The driver's either not paying attention or they're too quiet to alert children playing. Legal and safety context. I'm almost done, I promise. I'll talk
We've got
fast.
that in front of us, your legal and safety context and the closing. I would skip the legal and safety context if I were you and just close so that we have it. You've cited case law here or state statute.
Yep, you
Okay.
see the legal stuff. Closing, Bettendorf is known for being a family-friendly city with excellent schools, parks, and a strong commitment to community safety. I deeply, really appreciate all you do for Bettendorf, and it's such a wonderful place that we chose to raise a family. But on Heatherstone Road, our children are not currently safe. The current small speed bumps are not working. Please increase their size and restore them to their original height before a tragedy forces action. No inconvenience or driver complaint is worth the life of a child. Please do not be distracted by these letters from inconsiderate individuals who are thinking only of their own interests and not the lives of human beings. Please choose our children's safety over allowing vehicles to speed in our neighborhood. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Miller. Thank you all. Kids, we have all those photographs right here in front of us. Yeah. That's okay. That's totally fine. They have it too, but it's very nice of you to try. I just wanted you to know that we actually have all those photographs in color, so that worked out just swimmingly. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Jackie, I'm Lisa. I raised my family in Surrey Heights. We had a house on the corner of Surrey and White Post. We then moved up to the top of Surrey and built a house in Century Heights. And I know I talked to Nick for a little bit, but we had the same concern in the neighborhood when I was Surrey Heights president. When they built Heatherstone, and then they started to build it through to build Century Heights, and I think Worth was up there when this happened. And the big concern then was traffic coming in to Heatherstone and going up the hill. And that's when we put in the stop sign at the bottom, because before that, they would come into Heatherstone and hit the gas, and speed up. So we had the stop sign installed, but I was concerned on the speed bumps when Nick had brought it up, because I know there's some people with sports cars out there that the speed bumps became an issue, so you've got the opposite thing. But obviously back then also, we had a lot of kids playing also. So, it's kind of a toss-up. I'm concerned on raising the speed bumps. I was happy to see them lowered for that individual with their cars, because they kind of have rights also. but I don't know, is the ability there to put maybe some stop signs, you know, up on, I don't know, Taylor and White Post to slow traffic there? Because I don't know, I think about our speed bumps in the other part of town. We've got them in the parks. We put them by Pleasant Valley High School, which there's so much traffic over there. And I know the other neighborhood we stuck in, because when we were doing 53rd traffic, we were kind of, you know, had traffic rerouting, but with this increased traffic, as far as a cut through, can we do a stop sign somewhere maybe at the top of Heatherstone?
Lisa, why don't we have staff talk about what the status is and where we are, and if those things are possible, when we hear from the rest of the residents on this issue. I think
Okay.
Worth is gonna talk on it as well.
Okay, I just see a repeat of history and it was handled differently and I don't know. So, okay.
Worth, you have the floor, my friend.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow citizens, city staff, council members, and Mayor Gallagher. My name is Worthington Treasure, and I live at 5019 Heatherstone Road. The topic, of course, is still speed bumps. There are several different speed bumps throughout the city. Some are on city streets, and some are in the parks. I have worked to get vehicles slowed down on Heatherstone Road for more than a decade. A bit of history may help. After much discussion, a radar speed recorder was placed on Heatherstone Road in October of 2014. I received the results of that report along with several others. Eventually, a temporary removable speed bump was installed near my property. It was 24 inches wide and about 1.5 inches tall. Since it was temporary, it was bolted to the street, and it was installed in the spring and removed in the fall so that snow plows would not damage the plastic segments. This was hardly a permanent solution. Complaints were registered with city officials. So on September 11th, 3 new blacktop speed humps were installed. Following on October 6th, a letter was sent to homeowners on Heatherstone Road. It stated that the speed humps were not built to specifications and that they would be torn out and replaced. That was done on October 9th. So what is the specification? I could not get that information when I asked Mr. Morlock in his office on October 8th. The letter that came out states that the initially installed speed humps were, quote, causing issues for drivers, unquote. I presume that those drivers were the very drivers that were, and still are, driving too fast on Heatherstone Road and most likely do not even live in the neighborhood. The work performed did not seemingly have any quality oversight. There were no forms, no patterns, no templates, no measuring tapes, or surveying equipment used during the installation of the speed humps. My research and measurements are shown on a handout for your information.
We do have
There
that one as
appears
well.
to be no consistent specification for a speed hump. I brought along a full-scale model of the cross-section in front of my house, should you like to view it later. It is not imposing. It's no wonder that vehicles do not slow down to go over this feature. The goal of any speed hump is to slow down traffic and perhaps change a traffic pattern. So what is the definition of success? A favorable outcome or a result is one such definition. In this case, I give the city a grade of A for effort, a grade of C for the execution, and a grade of F for success. The city made a couple of mistakes in this manner. Please replace this minor hindrance with an actual traffic slowing solution. This is not a correct solution. Safety matters. There are no sidewalks on Heatherstone Road south of Taylor Avenue. There are at least 20 elementary school children on Heatherstone Road. Please do something better before someone's child gets hit or worse by a speeding vehicle. As a solution, I have provided a specification for the cross-section that should now be installed. That's in your handout. I trust that you will do what needs to be done as quickly as the initial work was torn out and replaced. I look forward to seeing a replacement in a few weeks. Thank you for attention. Questions, anyone?
Thanks, Worth. We appreciate it. Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard on this item, on the speed humps on Heatherstone? Please approach the podium in the back, state your name and address. We'd like to hear from you.
Hey, good evening. John Miller, also 5051 Heatherstone Road. Lisa, thank you. Maybe anecdotally, I grew up 5490 White Post Road. I now live at 5051 Heatherstone Road. So whatever Lisa fought for in the early 90s, I was there. It was probably for me. So that's what we're doing for our kids here today. So thanks. I know that stop sign well. I'll speak to it here in a bit. So I've lived in this neighborhood my entire childhood. My family moved to Surrey Heights when I was just 3 months old in 1987. Back then, Heatherstone didn't even connect to Taylor Avenue, Century Heights, or 53rd Street. Frankly put, they didn't exist. I grew up here, and now I've come back to raise my own family. So I want to share a quick story about the 90s that Lisa alluded to. When I was a toddler, my parents, along with other neighbors, pushed for traffic calming measures at the bottom of the hill near Heatherstone and White Post. There were, and still are, no sidewalks. And there were a lot of kids in the area, including me. It was not a popular move at the time, especially for the folks who loved cruising down Heatherstone without stopping. But over time, people adjusted. Safety became a priority. Fast forward to today. The neighborhood is turning over again, and we're seeing more and more young families. The traffic hasn't slowed down as the neighborhoods continue to grow north of 53rd Street, and the removal of the speed bumps has really put convenience ahead of safety. I know that some folks may not love the inconvenience, but I'd ask, what does driving 10 miles an hour faster really save you? A few seconds? Is it worth the risk of a serious accident? You've heard some anecdotes today about close calls and near misses. These disappeared for almost a month when the correct measures were finally put in place. My encouragement to the council is to reflect. If you don't have kids in elementary school, maybe you can recall those days when you were a young parent. Or maybe you have grandkids in elementary school. If your kids or your grandkids' safety was at stake, you'd be in the line right behind me. As already discussed, much of Heatherstone doesn't have sidewalks, and kids are out there every day. Just like we are encouraged via additional speed measures, such as speed bumps and safety monitoring signs by Pleasant View, because we have to assume that all kids aren't perfect as they learn about road safety. And we should do the same here. There's a clear alternative for those in a hurry. 53rd to Middle Road to Crow Creek, they all have higher speed limits. No one's here is asking for a stop sign, but I think we could probably be justified in doing so. It's not a bad idea. But I'm asking for actual speed measures that slow people down and keep their eyes on the road. It's not all about speed, not what's there today. If there's any doubt about the issue, I invite you to sit in my driveway between 7 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. We can have a cup of coffee, we can talk about it, and you can watch it. I don't have a speed radar gun. You don't need it, right? Sit and watch, and then watch the kids come out. It's not a fun sight. Rest assured, Worth alluded to it, I drive an F-150. My truck doesn't even register these speed humps. I can go as fast as I want. It doesn't matter. If I'm driving a cup of coffee, I could easily go 35 and my coffee wouldn't spill. So, in conclusion, my suspicion is that you all moved sometime to Bettendorf for the same reason. It's a great place to raise a family. I personally, thanks Lisa, I've been lucky to experience it, Worth as well, helping out, and it's now time to make sure that the next generation feels that same way as well. Safety over convenience. This is how we ought to make decisions when it relates to our kids and our grandkids' safety. I'd be shocked if anyone in this room feels differently. Please make a difference for mine. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Yep.
Appreciate all of your comments, all four of you. Anyone else wish to be heard on the Heatherstone speed bumps? All right, Brian, can you maybe bring me up to speed, because that might help all of us collectively? And then if, Decker, you have anything to add? I know that we were approached with this concern, that we attempted to remedy this concern. It didn't get done properly according to our contract with the company that put them in. Have we considered a stop sign at the intersection Lisa brought up, or sidewalks for the other side of the street? I mean, if that's an issue, are those considerations? I don't know that we've gotten that far.
Yeah, definitely sidewalks has been a consideration for numerous years, but, obviously if we would have to go to then, council would have to authorize us to do it or have to potentially assess those homeowners. Public Works continually works with the police department in monitoring the speeds through that area. We don't necessarily put stop signs in there for traffic control measures. We actually follow the MUTCD, which is the manual for uniform traffic control devices. But that's something that we can obviously work with the police department in to err on the side of safety. Just because one spec says that we don't have to, we could still potentially consider that. The speed humps were originally put in, which were actually too high than what we originally spec'd out. There was a lot of people that were complaining about how they were dragging their cars and whatnot on the bottom of those, and they couldn't get into their driveways and whatnot. So we went out there, measured them, and determined that they were not per the specifications that we authorized the contractor to put them in. He went back in there and constructed them to, there is really no spec. It's typically between 3 and 5 inches high. We can survey those again and see the ineffectiveness of them. I know that several people have liked them as they have been changed, and then obviously tonight, this is the first I've heard of it, that people are opposing and saying that they are ineffective. So all I can say at this point is I can talk to my engineering staff, continually working with the police department, and try to come up with a solution that best fits the neighborhood.
That's what we'd like. That would be great. Decker, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I would add, Your Honor, is that we've talked about this 25 years ago. The fact that the residents request sidewalks, the council has the authority to order the sidewalks in, but it's at the expense of the homeowner. When we went through that process 25 years ago, they were all interested in sidewalks, but nobody was interested in paying for the sidewalks. And as you know, our subdivision ordinance now requires sidewalks be paid for by a developer when they're placed in, and it's sold as part of the price of the house. So to go back in, and this would be a council policy, if you wanted to order those in at city expense, the council has that authority to change that ordinance to do that. I think that would be monumentally a challenge because we have lots of subdivisions, as you saw from our report probably a month and a half ago. We've got areas of town that were totally built out without sidewalks. And if the council were to start to try to implement that policy, it would be difficult where you're going to start and where you're going to stop and where that payment's going to come from. I would note that in the 20 or 30 years that this has been a problem, no one has taken an initiative to put sidewalks in, which causes us confusion about what the real issue is in terms of the safety. We've done numerous speed studies, as Worth pointed out. We had the temporary, it was probably 10 or 12 years ago. That was in for a long time. I don't know that I would say it was a success, but it seemed to curb for a while. And we, as you know, we've had at least 2 or 3 requests every year for speed bumps, and we've been advocating for a new policy, which we've shared a draft policy with the council, and I'm sure we're going to have discussions on during goal setting about that policy and its effectiveness. As Brian pointed out, we'll go back and take a look at that height to see if that matches up against our others. Worth submitted a diagram, and I would suggest, based on my knowledge of Worth, it's probably pretty accurate. So we just need to examine that and see if in that policy that we would implement, what that height and width need to be for the reconstruction. So we'll take a look at that. But I would suggest that we have continued the discussion during goal setting to see if there's any additional information the council would require prior to changing its policy, either on sidewalk replacement and or speed bump installations.
Perfect. So more to come. Thank you for coming here to speak up. We obviously want everybody in the community to be safe, and we understand that that's a little bit more of a challenge in your area for the reasons that you cited and brought to our attention tonight. So more to come. We'll stay on it. Okay? Anybody else wish to be heard on public requests of council? You may do so by approaching the podium in the back. All right, I'm going to close public requests of council then. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for speaking up. This is how good government works. We do have a public hearing on the Prairie Vista Circle and Criswell Street Storm Repairs Project. Did we publish notice of this public hearing?
Yes, we did, Your Honor. And I do have proof of publication from the Quad City Times website. It was published in the Quad City Times on October 10th. Column did not get the affidavit to me in a timely manner, but I do have proof.
And the column is the entity or company that they're using now for their notices.
Yes.
And they would have replied to you with the actual affidavit. We anticipate that's coming.
That is correct.
Councilor Curran, are we prepared to move forward with the public hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, I have reviewed Iowa Code Section 362.3, and as long as we have knowledge of publication, we are fine to proceed.
Perfect, thank you. So we will proceed. Did we receive any written correspondence with regard to this issue?
We did not.
Okay. Do we want a quick update, Brian? Just give us the update on what's happening here. Obviously, we know about the storm sewer repairs, and we passed the CIP that included the same.
Thank you, Your Honor. These are just two small storm sewer projects that we bundled together to obviously try to save money on economies of scale. On Prairie Vista Circle, we're repairing a storm sewer outlet structure. And then on Criswell, we're actually extending a culvert and actually putting a flared-in section on it to extend that out to subside the erosion that is occurring on the side of the road.
Any questions for Brian before we go to the public hearing? All right, let's open the public hearing with regard to the Prairie Vista Circle and Criswell Street Storm Sewer Repair Projects. Anybody here wish to be heard on this item? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Let's move to the resolution. Councilmember Pelzinski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving the plan, specification, and form of contract for the Prairie Vista Circle and Criswell Street Storm Sewer Repairs Project. I move approval of this resolution.
Second. Any discussion here? We've been updated on this before. Okay. Michelle, please call the roll.
Adamson.
Aye.
Jaeger.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Sexer.
Aye.
Baden.
Aye.
Pazinski.
Aye.
All right, we have unanimously passed that resolution. We move to our second public hearing. This is with regard to the Teskey Pets and Garden LLC project we learned about last night. Michelle, did you publish notice of this public hearing?
Yes, we did, Your Honor, and I do have affidavit of publication.
Well, fantastic. Did we receive any written correspondence with regard to this issue?
No, we did not.
All right. Let's open the public hearing with regard to a rezoning of a piece of property located where Teskey's Pet and Garden Center is. Anybody here wish to be heard on this item? All right, we'll close that public hearing and move to the first reading of the ordinance. Councilmember Jaeger, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have the first reading of an ordinance amending the Bettendorf, Iowa zone map for 2395 Spruce Hills Drive, modifying the map from C1 Neighborhood Commercial to C2 Community Commercial District. I move approval of the ordinance first reading.
Second. Is there discussion here? Got a good opportunity to ask questions on this project last night at Committee of the Whole. Michelle, please call the roll.
Adamson.
Aye.
Jaeger.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Sexer.
Aye.
Baden.
Aye.
Pazinski.
Aye.
All right. The first reading has unanimously passed. There'll be two more readings. Speaking of a second reading, let's go back to Councilmember Jaeger for a second reading.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have the second reading of an ordinance amending the Bettendorf City Code, Section 6-1-131, no parking zones enumerated, by removing a no parking zone on Brentwood Drive. I move approval of the second reading.
Second.
Discussion here, having already tackled this a couple of times. Okay, Michelle, please call the roll.
Adamson.
Aye.
Jaeger.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Sexer.
Aye.
Baden.
Aye.
Pazinski.
Aye.
All right, another second reading. This is for Councilmember Brown, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a second reading of an ordinance amending Bettendorf City Code, Section 6-1-134, no parking zones at stated times enumerated by removing a no parking zone on Mississippi Boulevard. I move approval of the ordinance at the second reading.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Adamson.
Aye.
Jaeger.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Sexer.
Aye.
Baden.
Aye.
Pazinski.
Aye.
That also unanimously passes.
Our third second reading is for Councilmember Sexer, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have the second reading of an ordinance amending Bettendorf City Code, Section 6-1-322A2, vehicles entering stop or yield intersection by removing a stop sign intersection on Mississippi Boulevard at 15th Street. I move approval of the ordinance at its second reading.
Second. Any discussion on this item? Okay, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Adamson.
Aye.
Jaeger.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Sexer.
Aye.
Baden.
Aye.
Pelzinski.
That second reading also unanimously passes. We go to Councilmember Pelzinski for third and final reading.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have the third and final reading of an ordinance providing that general property tax is levied and collected each year on certain properties located within the I-80 urban renewal area in the city of Bettendorf, county of Scott, state of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the state of Iowa, city of Bettendorf, county of Scott, Pleasant Valley Community School District, and other taxing districts be paid as a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to, and indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued incurred by the city in connection with the I-80 urban renewal area, amended and restated plan 2025 sub-area. I move approval of the ordinance at its final reading.
You don't want to read it again?
I'm good.
Do we have a second? Baden? Thank you, Frank. Is there discussion on this item? All right, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Adamson.
Aye.
Jaeger.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Sexer.
Aye.
Baden.
Aye.
Pelzinski.
Aye.
Okay, we move to a resolution that was on consent, but was moved to the regular agenda, and I believe Councilmember Jaeger has a motion for us this evening.
Thank you, Your Honor. On this item, I move to postpone the matter to the next council meeting.
Second.
All right, Michelle, please call the roll.
Adamson.
Aye.
Jaeger.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Sexer.
Aye.
Baden.
Aye.
Pelzinski.
Aye.
Okay, we will postpone it to the next meeting. Let's take a look at our consent agenda, and I'd entertain a motion to approve the same whenever someone's ready.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on all items on consent. Any item, any particular council member wishes to discuss at this time? Had some questions last night, obviously. Okay. Michelle, would you please call the roll on consent?
Adamson.
Aye.
Jaeger.
Aye.
Brown. Aye. No, oops. Sexer.
Fingers crossed, Scott.
Sexer.
Who?
Aye.
Baden.
Aye.
Pelzinski.
Aye.
All right, we have unanimously approved each and every item on the consent agenda. It's time for
Creature
a
of
motion
habit.
to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We stand adjourned. Good work, people.